days and two setbacks for the five-time champions, and this one doesn't look good either. Yesterday, what we heard was from the Australian camp that there's going to be no Glenn Maxwell for the next match against England. Now, those worries for Australia have been compounded because there is another key player who plays right at the top who will also not be part of this Australian setup, not just for the game against England, but this particular Australian player has in fact headed home indefinitely. There is no information at the moment as to when exactly will this Australian player be returning for the Cricket World Cup. Whom I'm talking about? Who's this Australian player who has headed home now? And the worries now for Australia as a result have now compounded. Well, it is Mitch Marsh. What we're hearing from the Australian camp at the moment is that Mitch Marsh, citing personal reasons, flew back home to Perth yesterday night, and late last night in fact he took the flight, and there is no information as of now as to when exactly he'll be coming back for the Cricket World Cup. There is no information available for that right now. What the Australian media or rather Australian cricket is saying at the moment is that there is no set date or set timeline as far as Mitch Marsh's return to the squad is concerned. He's gone back home for an indefinite period. So that in 2 days now is two back-to-back blows for Australia. Now, as a result, now when they take on England in a couple of days' time, well, you'll be looking at a different squad altogether. It does tinker the squad to quite an extent, but what this also means is that Manas Labuschagne will continue to be in that playing 11. You're thinking that perhaps he could be going out once Stoinis is fit, but now it's going to be a direct swap between Mitch Marsh and Marcus Stoinis. Stoinis will be coming in for him, but who comes in for Glenn Maxwell? That entails another for Australia now, because now what they'll have to do is they will now have to bring in Cameron Green as well. The other two available with them at the moment in the squad, which has now been reduced to 13. By the way, is the fact that you will now have Sean Abbott, and there's Alex Carey as well in the side, but you don't see them coming into the side because of the composition that you're looking at, and it will throw the whole composition or awry. So if you ask me what the 11 now, let's say, will be for Australia in that match against England, I think it's going to be Marcus Stoinis coming in because he's now overcome the injury setback that he had struggled previously, and then you're going to be looking at Cameron Green also coming into the side. What this also, by the way, could mean is that Steve Smith could possibly move into third place. He could be batting now at number 3. We've seen him often come lower down the order on a few occasions, but that is what it could now mean for Australia. But two big blows in 2 days for Australia. In fact, speaking just about Mitch Marsh, it's a bigger blow because again, he likes to open the innings with the David Warner, so they'll have to look for a new opening pair now, and there's not so much that can be done right now because he's gone back home for an indefinite period, citing personal reasons. That's all that's been shared as far as that Glenn Maxwell injury is concerned. In case you missed out on that update yesterday, as far as Glenn Maxwell is concerned, another freak incident of sorts, this time happening while he was playing golf. Let's not forget that he'd broken his leg last year at a birthday party. This time around, it had to do something with the golf cart. Apparently these the players had taken a day off and they were playing golf, and the incident happened over there, in which Glenn Maxwell suffered a concussion. So his return is also something that we are awaiting as far as Australia are concerned. But we know for sure that as far as the next game against England is concerned, there is going to be no Glenn Maxwell. So if you were to ask me, what are those two changes now, those forced changes rather, that Australia are now gonna be looking at? Those two changes are gonna be Maxwell obviously going out, then comes in Cameron Green, and you'll have for Mitch Marsh, you could see Marcus Stoinis coming in because he now, I believe, is fit. So those could be the two changes for New Zealand. I'll quickly try answering a couple of questions. Ashish Ranjan saying, do teams like England and Australia, let me just see that again. Do teams like England and Australia don't take on England seriously as players are leaving the tournament like World Cup? No, Ashish, that's not the thing. Because and that's not jump the gun here. It's personal reasons. You've got to understand that certain family issues, certain family matters can be really, really, tricky to address. Let's not forget that it was Pat Cummins also who had gone to see his mother during the Border Gavaskar Trophy, which was happening, which is why you had Steve Smith captain as well. So you've got to understand the gravity of the situation at times, and it's not like they're not taking the World Cup seriously. So let's not go ahead and make any of such comments. Anurag Sinha says, love from Canada. Bangalore's match, thank you so much, Anurag. Bangalore's match could be a washout. He says 80% chances of rain. And if that's the case, the points get shared. Who will benefit, New Zealand or Pakistan? Interesting though, because I haven't really been able to check the weather prediction for Bangalore. It's a flat deck, we're going to know. But which team will it benefit? Well, if you ask me, it could just benefit, I think, New Zealand a little more over here, because they're already looking at three successive losses. They are, I would say, more or less guaranteed of a win against Sri Lanka, which will be their last match. Pakistan, meanwhile, have England to face. So I'm not too sure if if it's going to be that straightforward a win. So a point here for New Zealand gets them closer. By the way, and also the net run rate, the way the net run rate is for the two teams, I think New Zealand doing much better as far as the net run rate is concerned. Of course, that net run rate took a beating yesterday when they were completely, outplayed by South Africa. But even then, they continue to have that slight edge. But as of now, yes, you're right. Numbers looking very, very similar as far as both New Zealand and Pakistan are concerned. And New Zealand over here, do look like a team that are looking at a bit of a downslide at the moment. But it's courtesy all the good work that they've done in those first four games, winning all of those four, and now it's given them this cushion right towards the end to be able to afford this kind of a slip up. But having said that, 3 games is enough. You're now looking at the business end. You've got to be now ensuring that you win the next and get even closer to that semi-final spot. I'll take the last question. This one is from Prashant Kumar. He says that will Sri Lanka give a tough fight to India today? No, Prashant. I really don't think that's going to be the case. Why I say that with so much of conviction? The reason for that being very simple. That Sri Lanka haven't looked, of India's match in this tournament so far. Yes, they did well against England the other day. You could argue they also managed to win, against Bangladesh earlier on. But otherwise, I don't see the Sri Lankan side doing much against India, who, let's not forget, in the Asia Cup final, what had happened. I'm not saying it's going to be the same all over again, but India, if you ask me, have only upped their game since the Asia Cup got over, and it's across departments. Sri Lanka, on the other side, they don't have quality seam bowlers. Lahiru Kumara, was doing well, again had to be taken out because of injury. In came Chamira. It's a very unsettled unit, if you ask me. And right up top, there's a lot of inconsistency as well. So you don't quite know if this batting order can get you runs against the quality bowling lineup that of India, which is absolutely wreaking a havoc right now. So that's all, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. In case you're joining us right now, another setback for Australia. I'll quickly just sum it up for you. Another setback for Australia because Mitch Marsh has now headed home because of personal reasons. There is absolutely no timeline that's been set here by Cricket Australia. In the press release, what they've said is that he's headed home for personal reasons. There is no timeline, and nothing can be said as to when he returns. So for an indefinite period, Mitch Marsh has headed home, but citing personal reasons. Thank you so much for joining us at this particular moment. News and updates will continue on Sports Day. Don't forget to tap that bell so that you know when we go live, and also so that you know whatever we bring to you. Nikhil's doing an exclusive interview as we speak. Robin Othappa will be joining us. It's match days, you know, so those videos will be up on Sports Day in a matter of few hours. We're building up to India versus Sri Lanka, which will be played in a few hours from now. So for all of those updates, do tap that bell and subscribe to us as well.